For the first time in 8 years, the Fed has a new boss, and his very first decision next week could move your mortgage rate more than anything else this year. Here's what you need to know in the next 2 minutes. First, inflation. Consumer prices rose 0.5% in May and are up 4.2% from a year ago. But most of that came from gas and energy. Core inflation rose at much more of a moderate pace, so broader price pressures were still relatively contained. Wholesale prices jumped too, up 1.1% in May. And again, energy did most of the damage. So what's the silver lining? Oil just hit a 2-month low at around $82 a barrel. If that holds, inflation relief is coming. Now, the main event. The Fed meets Tuesday and Wednesday. Kevin Warsh's first meeting as our new Fed chair. Markets are anticipating rates to hold steady. So why does it matter? Well, because this meeting comes with the famous dot plot, which is basically the Fed's roadmap for where rates will go next. Now, what Warsh says in his first press conference could move mortgage rates more than the actual rate decision itself. I'll break down what happens at the meeting for you guys in next week's update. Now, speaking of rates, the average 30-year fixed rate was 6.52% this week, up slightly from last week. But a year ago, it was 6.84. Rates are still better than last summer, and buyers have noticed. Existing home sales rose 3.2% in May to the strongest pace since December, and inventory climbed to 1.55 million homes. If you're a buyer, that means more choices and more negotiating room than you've had in a long time. And a pre-approval is your key to moving fast the moment the right house hits the market. If you're a realtor, rising inventory cuts both ways. Buyers are out there, but listings have real competition now. Pricing and presentation matter again. Now, one thing to watch. Unemployment claims rose for the third straight week, and people who lose a job are taking longer to find the next one. That's exactly the data the Fed weighs when deciding whether or not to cut rates. Bottom line, mortgage rates are below last year, inventory is the best it's been in months, and the Fed's path gets clearer next week. If you've been on the sidelines, now's the time. Hit the Apply Now link on my brand new website at homeloansbakersfield.com and get your application done. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. And realtors, if your buyers need a fast, reliable pre-approval, send them my way. I'm Dan Artis with Barrett Financial. Subscribe now, and I will see you next week for another update.